I feel like it's kind of one of those videos that gonna make you sad. Like either we did it or it was actually nature itself that did this. The video is 10 last photos of extinct animals. So there's bound to be 10 animals, and we are gonna decide together how many of the 10 animals, or hopefully it is 10 animals, but even if it's just close to it, I'm gonna say like half or even more has been extinct because of us. I'm hoping that I'm actually wrong about this, but sometimes just I gotta say humans suck when it comes to our relationship with planet Earth and its other inhabitants. This is from a channel called All About Nature, and I never heard about it before, so I'm gonna hit subscribe on it. I just did. The channel All About Nature is located in my description if you want to go check it out by yourself. And the video link is down there too. I suggest you go there and give them the support that they so much deserve. If you do enjoy this, like and subscribe, please, if you want to. A big thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and, of course, on channel membership. Thank you. A big shout out to the Supreme Tier donators. Membership, Patreon, thank you. Personal shoutouts goes to the ultimate supporters, JJ, Wald, Dwayne, Robert, Matt, Barbara, Kathy, Sarah, and Terry. That's an amazing list right there. We're going to check out 10 photos, last photos of extinct animals. And this is going to be probably super sad. Just saying. The copyright disclaimer.
When scientists first began recording species, they had to draw them. Old biology art is possibly my favorite thing that exists, mostly because it was often so horribly inaccurate.
Look at the giraffe. The giraffe looks like
Mostly because
that's a crooked one right there. The hell is that? Oh shit! What the hell is that? The capybara? The one in they don't have horns, do they? And this is just an amazing beast, but it looks like it's an angry. Oh, the snakes! Oh, the snakes! What the heck?
it was often so horribly inaccurate. In the early 1800s, the camera was invented and animal documentation changed forever. Over the past 200 years, many
The Bayi was declared extinct in 2003.
photos have been taken of animals that are no longer with us. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of these photos and hear about how these species were tragically lost. Welcome back to All About Nature. On my channel, I try to bring nature-related content that's both educational and entertaining. If you like this type of content, then please consider liking the video, leaving a comment, or even subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate your support.
Toolache wallaby.
The Toolache wallaby stood a little under a meter tall and inhabited grasslands in southeastern Australia. This elegant and beautifully marked species was described in 1846, but sadly, due to the rapid human expansion in the area at the time, the species was reduced to drastically low numbers by the 1920s. In an attempt to save the species, 14 of the last known animals were rounded up for a breeding program. Sadly, 10 of the 14 died as they were being captured, and only 4 made it into the zoo. They were last officially seen in the wild in 1924, though some sightings persisted into the 1970s. And the last captive animal died in 1924. This is the last picture of the species in captivity. A lone female.
That is freaking depressing. Sorry. Quagga? Quagga.
This subspecies of the plain zebra was totally unique in its markings. Instead of being covered in stripes, the quagga stripes were restricted to the front half of the body. And instead of being black and white, the quagga was brown and white, with a white belly and white legs. It only lived on the southern part of the African continent, preferring grasslands and arid interior scrublands. Dutch and British colonists ruthlessly hunted the species, believing it to be more abundant than it was. This is one of the last images of the quagga, taken at the Amsterdam Zoo. When she died in 1883, it was seen as a small issue. The zoo simply requested a new specimen be caught. But they didn't realize that the last wild quagga had died about 5 years earlier. And with the loss of this Amsterdam specimen, the quagga was gone forever. Today, there are efforts to breed the quagga back into existence.
The Quagga Project has made it this far with their back breeding program. Passenger pigeon.
Perhaps one of the most iconic American extinct species, the passenger pigeon went from being the most numerous species of bird on the entire planet to extinct in only a few decades. With European settlers expanding rapidly through the eastern part of North America and clearing the forests the birds relied on, things were already rough for the species. But add to that excessive commercial hunting practices, and the passenger pigeon didn't stand a chance. This is Martha, the last passenger pigeon, and her photo was taken in 1914. With her death, the passenger pigeon was gone, and the ecosystems of the United States would never be the same again. I also made a video about the passenger pigeon, which you can check out by clicking the banner at the top of the screen.
The parakeet.
Another iconic American bird species to go extinct is the Carolina parakeet. It was the only indigenous parrot species on the plains of the continent, and there is evidence that it used to even stray into southern Canada. These gregarious birds likely used to number in the millions, and they fed on fruits and seeds, especially the seeds of the cocklebur plants. The seeds of cockleburs are toxic, and evidence suggests that by eating these seeds, the parakeets themselves became toxic, causing predators such as house cats to die from eating them. Evidence also shows that the species had been declining naturally since the end of the last ice age. And by the time Europeans arrived and destroyed eastern forests, the birds had become restricted to Florida. While they were regularly hunted for their feathers and for the pet trade, ultimately their
Just looking at this is making me so gosh darn angry, and I want to punch them in the face. Look at that. They have dead birds. They have dead birds on their hat. Look at that. Look at that. Freaking humans.
extinction is a mystery. In 1896, a relatively healthy population was noticed that was flocking and producing offspring. But by 1904, they were essentially gone. This picture of the last captive Carolina parakeet, named Incus, is from 1900. Amazingly, Incus was kept in the same cage that Martha had been kept in, who was the last passenger pigeon.
Wow.
And Incus died in 1918, only 4 years after Martha.
Paradise parrot.
Speaking of parrots, one of the most strikingly marked was the paradise parrot of eastern Australia. These beautiful birds lived in pairs or in small family groups, and they nested in termite mounds. Being that the species was never extremely common, and due to how remote much of its habitat was, the species' demise is a bit of a mystery. It could have been from cattle grazing, or from land being burned. It could have been hunted for the pet trade, or preyed on by cats and dogs. We'll never know for sure. But following a drought in 1902, the population had practically vanished. This picture of a paradise parrot was taken in 1922. It's a photo of a wild bird as it enters its nest. Sadly, the last official sighting of the species was in 1927, only 5 years after this photo was taken.
Barbary lion?
The Barbary lion was considered a distinct subspecies of African lion that lived in the desert regions of northern Africa. These lions, being found for millennia near some of the biggest epicenters of human civilization, were persecuted relentlessly by people. These are likely the lions that were used for fighting in ancient Rome. They would have inspired the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet. They are the lions of the Bible and the Quran. But immense fear of the lions, coupled with the fact that killing one was viewed as a great sign of strength and bravery, meant that humans often killed them as fast as they found them. Despite this, the Barbary lion persisted into the 20th century. But with the widespread introduction of firearms to the region and bounties for the lion, the last of them was shot and killed in the 1960s. This image, taken from an airplane as someone flew over the Atlas Mountains, is often considered the final photo of the lion, and is particularly compelling because of its beautiful composition.
Still walking proud. Look at that.
But amazingly, the subspecies is no longer believed to be extinct. Recent genetic research has shown that the Barbary lion is actually part of a single clade present across North Africa, the Middle East, parts of Southern Europe, and Asia. And today, a small population of Asian lions survives in India.
Wow. Bubal hartebeest.
The Bubal hartebeest was the first hartebeest described by science. While it is now known to be one of 8 subspecies of hartebeest, it was described in 1766 and was distinguished from the other subspecies by its uniform sand-colored fur, which it used to blend into the deserts of northern Africa where it once lived. And their main predator was the Barbary lion. The antelope declined quickly in the early 1800s.
Oh, it's a type of antelope.
Especially after the French colonized Algeria in the 1830s. Whole herds were shot and killed. Over time, the species disappeared from much of its range before the early 1900s, when the Bubal hartebeest could only be found in Algeria and Morocco. In 1917, a herd of 15 animals was located, but the man who located them ended up shooting and killing all but 3 of that herd. This is the last picture of a Bubal hartebeest, and was taken in the Paris Zoo in 1923. The last known wild specimen was shot and killed in Morocco only 2 years later, and the subspecies was gone.
What?
The Caribbean monk seal was the only species of seal native to the Gulf of Mexico. The species was once relatively common throughout its range. They would congregate in groups of around 30 individuals, though they were observed in groups of up to 100 at times. They fed on fish and crustaceans, were sluggish on land, and had generally curious dispositions even around people. All of these factors would be their downfall. Their prey was overhunted, leaving less food to support their populations. They were easily attacked and killed on land, as it was hard for them to escape. And their curiosity of people just made it easier for humans to hunt them. They were targeted mainly for oil produced from their blubber, and they were regularly eaten. They were hunted so much that by the 1850s they were already hard to come across. In 1886, a scientific survey found a large number of seals living around a small set of islets. They killed 42 to send to museums around the world. Today, only 2 of those museum specimens survive, both in the UK. This is one of the last pictures of the species. It's one of 4 monk seals acquired by the New York Aquarium. This is another photo of the same group of seals. In 1952, the last confirmed sighting of the species occurred off the coast of Colombia. It has never been seen since.
Oh, golden toad?
The
Oh,
golden
wow.
toad was only ever found in one small patch of rainforest in the mountains of Costa Rica. It was discovered in 1966, and every year the species would gather in huge numbers at mating season. In 1987, a normal population of toads was counted during the breeding months. These pictures are one of the last healthy gatherings of the species. Unfortunately, in 1988, scientists only recorded 10 or 11 toads. Finally, in 1989, only 1 male toad was seen. Searches for the species would continue through the 90s.
That male, just where the hell is everyone?
And in 2004, after an expedition to search for the species, the golden toad was officially declared extinct. One factor that's believed to have contributed to their extinction was a major drought in the area in the late 80s, but also the arrival of the amphibian chytrid fungus to Costa Rica, which played a major part. It thickened the toad's skin, causing their systems to shut down and ultimately killed them. Gastric-brooding frogs are extremely unique. There were 2 species. One, the northern gastric-brooding frog, and the other, the southern gastric-brooding frog. Both are found only in extremely small ranges in eastern Australia. They are the only 2 species of frog in the world known to raise their young inside their stomachs. Discovered in the 1970s, it was only a decade later that they both disappeared. These are some of the only images of the species. They gained international notoriety for this picture. But just like the golden toad, it's believed that the amphibian chytrid fungus ultimately wiped them out. Though deforestation, habitat disruption, and introduced species probably also played a role. Interestingly, they're part of a project that seeks to bring them back through a process called de-extinction. And that's it for today's video. Perhaps you were waiting for the thylacine or ivory-billed woodpecker,
Oh,
but
wow.
I made videos about both of them recently. You can check out either of my last 2 videos to hear their stories. I want to take a moment to thank my patrons, Kasha, Lael, April, Colby, and Linda. And if you want to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon. The link is in the video description below. I'm also rapidly approaching 5,000 subscribers. I know that may not seem like many to most, but after 2 years of doing this channel, I went from less than 500 to nearly 5,000 in only the last few months.
Wow.
So to all who have subscribed, welcome and thank you. And thanks to all of you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. This is a year ago, and he has way more now. I didn't know why it was a good thing to watch this, because that is super depressing, and I hated every second of it. And I kind of felt like most of the extension was because of us humans, and I'm going to say it. We suck. We suck. We are the crappiest thing that ever happened to this planet. And if you do not agree with me, I don't give a shit, because that is just a proof. Just imagine this planet without us. Luscious, filled and packed with animals. Wow. I'm probably not going to watch another video about that, because that just broke my heart completely. Well, if you did enjoy watching me watching it, hit the like and subscribe, and that would certainly make me happy. Until next time, I'm Recky. You stay safe.